I woke up breathing heavily and crying, shaming myself. It was all my fault you died, Father. My wife had to run in and hold me down. Everything's gonna be okay, Joe. I'm right with you. Tears running off my face one by one, sobbing uncontrollably almost every morning since my dad's accident in the woods. That bear should have never taken my father. I should have shot the gun at the bear, but I was so shocked I just couldn't. I ran off as my dad died in the woods with a bear eating out his intestines. Ever since this incident happened, my boss had let me off work so I could deal with this issue. This feeling of guilt, it rushed in my mind with the blood rushing through my veins at 110. I couldn't stop thinking about how this happened. My father was just an amazing guy. No, he wasn't my role model, but he was a lot to me. He watched over me and made me the man I am today, alongside my wife. My father taught me how to hunt, fish, bicycle, push forward, and always look forward. He looked at me with a big old grin on his face when I felt I couldn't do something and always say, "Boy, you are a Woodley, and us Woodleys don't stop until we have nothing else we can do. Grab a beer." It has been a week since my father's funeral, and I sit at home, still off work, feeling a little bit better as time heals. I'm sitting on the couch watching How I Met Your Mother on TV, and my wife comes into the living room. She looks at me in a hurry and says, "I gotta go sell a house." Then she kisses me. "You be careful, okay? Love you." "Okay, drive safe. Love you too." I say while I'm staring at the TV. I said as the show goes on. About an hour later, I get up to make a sandwich. My stomach has been growling for food. Whew, I'm so hungry. I say aloud to myself as I make me a ham and cheese sandwich with lettuce, tomato, salt, pepper, and mayonnaise. Right when I get to finishing it, I hear a knock on the door. "I'll be there in a minute." I get to walk into the door. I let the door creak open. The sound like your hinges on your door is about to break. When I get it open, I look outside. It was just silence. No one was there. I thought to myself, I must have just left. I get back to my sandwich and gnats and ants cover the whole sandwich. Oh great, my sandwich goes to waste. I make another sandwich frustrated. I hear a knocking on the door once again. "Come in." When I get to the door, it creaks open once again. I look outside. Nothing but silence. "Hey, this isn't a time to be messing around with people," I yell right before I slam the door shut. When I get back to the kitchen, I get back to my sandwich and I eat it. Something didn't feel right this time. Something was in it. Felt unsettling, and it was all in my mouth. I can feel each strand in my mouth. I realized each strand was hair. Ugh. Ew. I pull hair out of my mouth. As I was pulling it out, I just continued and continued. I continued getting this hair from my mouth like it had no end. Finally, I found the end of this last strand. I thought I was going to gag to death on the hair. I don't make another sandwich. In fact, I sit in the living room watching How I Met Your Mother. There was something wrong with the episode, though. I couldn't hear a laugh track. I also was hearing knocking on the door in the show. Of course, that made me think it was the show with the knocking, not the real door. Silly me. But nobody showed up in the episode. It was quiet. And then and there played a little clapping soundtrack. The clapping was slow. It happened around 30 seconds after the next. Knocking happens at the door of the show again. I decided this was freaky, but I'm sure it's my satellite. So I cut off the TV. The clapping continues slowly in my head, 30 seconds after the next. I'm drawing in my sketchbook, just chilling on the couch until my wife gets home. The clapping still goes through my head after 30 minutes. I hear a knock on the door. This time the knock was real. The TV is off and I'm in my house alone. I'm getting up to answer the door. "Come in." The knock gets louder and faster. I open the door and hear a scream. Nobody is there. I see blood on front of my door. I get a little worried, so I'm going to call the cops. I ran into the kitchen where the house phone is supposed to be hung up on the wall, and I get in the kitchen and I see on the kitchen table a foot. In front of the foot was, "I was only a foot away, Joe," written in blood. Now I'm panicking. My heart just raced up to 185 beats per minute. I go to grab the phone, but spiders cover the phone, and I scream, "Please, not spiders!" When I screamed, the lights went out. It got so dark. It got so cold. I didn't know where I was anymore. When the lights came back on, flickering dark and light, I'm no longer in the kitchen. The shoulder hurts, so I looked down to see what happened to it. I was shocked to see that my shoulder was scratched. It was scratched like I was caught in barbed wire or attacked by a wolf. It felt like I was sliced 3 times by a knife and lemons were squeezed on each cut. I looked for somewhere to lie down at. I felt for something in front of me. It felt hard, rough, and big. It seemed to be a tree. I lie down at this tree, but right when I get seated, I see a body. The body was floating there. At least it seemed that way. I couldn't quite see well, due to it being dark. Clapping was still going through my head, but the clapping was louder now, and as it got louder, a fire burned. The fire started burning bright, and I then saw the body hanging by rope with the boy's pants down. They cut his penis off and pulled his rectum through the hole they left. I hear the clap go silent. Someone whispers beneath my ear, "You are ass backwards." I cry, "Please, leave me alone. I don't want to cause any trouble." The fire burns brighter and the claps sound off over and over instead of every second at a slow pace, and the clap gets louder and louder. "Why are you doing this to me?" I scream, but don't get an answer. After a minute, everything stopped and silence fell upon my ears. I lay frightened, not knowing what's going to happen next. Then he whispers again, "You're free." I then stand up. "What the fuck? Who are you? What is all this?" I screamed with all I got. Nothing ever came to my ears again. I was alone in the dark, and it was cold. I didn't know where to go, so I went walking, and I realized I was in the woods again. I started having flashbacks about my father. I hear a sound roar. I could not see it though, but a bear came running at me. As the bear jumped on me, I saw my dad behind the bear walking, fading slowly into the woods.